Announce more? What? Announce something else? Just announce Terrortram. What else can we possibly announce? By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes. Do you want another announcement? Let's go! Oh, that's not good enough. Come on! But first, time for a short history lesson. We've had a long legacy of doing Latin American content for Halloween Horror Nights. And again, credit where credit is due. I didn't grow up with these stories, you know? It wasn't part of my culture. But you guys came up to me unsolicited for years saying, have you heard about La Llorona? Have you heard about El Cucuy? That really fired my imagination and the imagination of everybody that works on Halloween Horror Nights. So since 2010, with a couple of breaks, we've been really focusing every year on doing a special Latin American themed house. We just came off the Monstros trilogy, right? And I think they stood up on this stage last year and were like, it's done, this is the end, this is the final act of the trilogy. And then the event opened. And it was this huge hit. But I made a promise, so it is done. So we had to come up with something new, and I should mention and give credit to, there's a group of people at Universal Studios Hollywood. They're my colleagues that work on Horror Nights. They come from all different backgrounds. Some have a heritage in Mexico, others Latin America, like South America, Central America. They represent a wide spectrum, and I always meet with them before I do anything that's going to have Latin American content, because I took 2 years of Spanish in high school, and that was like 40-something years ago. So they're a huge help to me, not only with translation, but just to making sure that everything we do is authentic. So I did want to recognize those folks and say thank you for all of their help. Because we've got something new for you. KillCeañera, music by Slash. This is going to take some explaining. It's like I need a priest, because this thing just keeps advancing without me actually touching anything. But it's cool, leave it there. Because it's not often that I can go back and go, oh, I remember the exact moment of inspiration when an idea came to me, but I can with this. And it was a long time ago. It was 2018. I was hanging out with that dragon, up there on that balcony at City Walk, and I was just kind of standing there, lost in my thoughts, and down the street I saw this procession, and it was this young girl in this amazing elaborate dress, kind of like a wedding dress, right? And then she had a whole group of girls with her that were all in dresses, kind of like bridesmaids, and there was a whole group of guys, and they were all in matching suits, kind of like groomsmen, and I was like, what the hell is that? So I started like, well, there's no way I stopped them. I went down the escalator and I was like following them and trying to figure out what it was that they were doing. Because again, I did not grow up with KillCeañera. How many of you, well, let's start with this. How many of you have had a KillCeañera? Okay. How many of you have attended a KillCeañera? I backed the right horse. Good. How many of you have no idea what we're talking about and are completely lost? A couple, okay. All right. Well, for you, that handful of people that are a little bit lost, it's time for a short cultural history lesson. And this is all part of the research that I did and talking to all of my different colleagues. But there are essential elements to a KillCeañera. In essence, what it is, and you guys keep me honest if you disagree with me, because, you know, these things, everybody has different opinions, but it's the celebration of a girl's 15th birthday, and it's pretty much the transition from childhood to adulthood, right? And it has lots of things that tend to be in common, although your KillCeañera might not have had this, so don't get angry if it didn't. But there's generally a court of honor, right? And that's the girls called damas, and the boys called chambelanas. Hope my pronunciation's okay on that? Is that right? Oh, my Spanish teacher's gonna be so happy if she's still alive. Probably not. That's the court of honor. There's the gown, el vestido. It's the formal gown worn by the KillCeañera. There's usually a tiara and a scepter, and that represents her newfound responsibility. There's the la entrada, which is her grand entrance that she makes to the party. There's typically a candle display, 15 candles, one for every year of her life. There's something very unusual. Doesn't exist in my culture or a lot of other cultures, but it does in the culture of quinceañeras, and that is the presentation of the last doll. And it's supposed to represent, this is the last doll you're ever going to receive because now you're transitioning from a child into a young woman. Along with that, there's another tradition that is the changing of the shoes ceremony, changing usually out of flats into high heels because, again, you're transitioning from childhood to adulthood. Of course, there's food, music, dancing, there's a formal toast, and there's a cake cutting ceremony. And that's just some of the elements involved in a quinceañera. So I took all of that and I went, okay, if I was making a horror movie, how would I take all of those elements, put it into the hot stew, stir it around, and see what comes out? So you guys always ask me, all the time on social media, can we see an example of a treatment? Okay, well, here you go. This is an example of a treatment. This is a treatment for KillCeañera, and it's two main things. So on one side you see the description. That's the narrative that I write. So I write a narrative as if I'm you guys. It's written from the guest POV, as if I'm going through the scene. It's everything I see, everything I hear, everything I smell, sometimes. And on the other side, that's like a technical breakdown of elements. So you'll see talent, hand props, scenic, graphics, props and decor, static figures, audio, video, lighting, special effects, notes. I'm trying to capture every single thing that's going to go into this scene so that our team knows what they're going to produce. And then all of that goes to my longtime partner, my art director, production designer. Give it up for Chris Williams. Chris takes that treatment and all of the visual research I've done, and then he draws his conceptual ground plan, and then Chris and his staple of production designers do all of the elevations for the sets. I showed you some of those elevations for Terror Tram. By the way, those are all hand-drawn by artists, by production designers that work in movies, film, television. They come and work for us every year for Horror Nights, and then once that's all done, then it goes into computer. Everything's done by hand. But the first thing I do when I'm writing a treatment is I write kind of like the elevator pitch, as if it was a movie, and then I flesh that out into what I call an executive summary. So I'm going to actually read this to you to give you the setup for what this house is all about, and then I'm going to let you hear something. Would you like to hear something else? So the Fiesta de 15 Años, more popularly known as Quinceañera, is normally a time for 15-year-old girls to celebrate their rite of passage from childhood to adulthood, and all the people who made that journey special. But not for Lola. This troubled orphan with a dark and tragic past is planning a quinceañera unlike any other, a festival of death designed to take revenge on all the people who have wronged her. The setting for this party to end all parties is the burned out ruins of Lola's childhood home, the place where her parents perished in a tragic fire during the height of the festival of Dia de los Muertos, November 2nd, which just so happens to be Lola's birthday. All of this happened 10 years ago. Lola miraculously survived the fire but was left with lifelong emotional and physical scars. Orphaned at an early age and badly disfigured by the fire, Lola became the object of ridicule for her classmates and an easy target for bullies who made her life an endless torment. Lola's only refuge were the stories her parents told her, tales of vengeful ghosts, malevolent spirits, and fearsome monstros that would punish the wicked. For Lola, these stories became an all-consuming obsession. For in the eyes of her cruel classmates, she was a hideous monster, and now that pitiless mirror would be reflected back on them. As her 15th birthday drew near, Lola began to plot a way to take her revenge. Since she had no parents, she would throw her own quinceañera with her heartless classmates as her court of dishonor. The invited guests will be the ghosts, spirits, and monstros from her childhood stories, conjured by Lola to be the perfect vessels for her revenge. 15 candles, one for each of her victims. It'll be a quinceañera unlike any other, and no one will get out alive. This is the facade. So some of you guys have seen this going up in Parisian Courtyard. This is the burned out ruins of Lola's childhood home. And I know a lot of you guys have been looking at that, trying to peer over the construction fence. Hold your thumb over the construction fence to see what else you can get. And you've been talking a lot about that balcony up there. That is purpose built. That is for Lola. Okay? So there is a character out in front of this facade, but she is elevated up above you. You're going to walk underneath her to get into the house. So we had to design what Lola was going to look like. This is some of the sketches that we did. We wanted to show the burn and all the damage from the burn, but because her birthday is November 2nd, the height of Dia de los Muertos, we also wanted to fold in like the calaveras, the candy skull kind of makeup, and then we put it together with the costume design. So she has this kind of fiery appearance, which involves UV. So we did a makeup test recently. We took this prosthetic makeup. This is done by our makeup artist, Patrick McGee, McGee Effects. And then we just did this makeup test just like the other day. So why am I doing her in a prosthetic? Because we do have ones of her in a mask as well. It's because I need her to lip sync. But most importantly, I need her to do a song. First time ever in the history of Halloween Horror Nights. Last year, I was at the event. I was hanging out. I was down by H-Lot. I was with my daughter, Izzy, the girl who I had her AI search herself the other day, and she was really mad because it came up. She is known by the nickname, the girl who cannot be scared. And she was like, "What did you tell them?" And I was like, "It's AI, honey. It just made it up. It wasn't me." But Izzy and I were at Horror Nights, and all of a sudden my phone beeped, and it was Slash, and he was there with his son. So I was like, "Hey, let's hang out." So we were hanging out, going through the houses, and at the end of the night, I was walking him to his car, and I went, and he just looked at me and he goes, "Next year." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna have that conversation." And I said, "Hey, there's this thing I came up with in 2018. I've never done it. Maybe this is the time to do it." Kind of told him the basic idea. When I got back to Ireland, I sent him the treatment, and then just like a few weeks later, I got this beautiful piece of music from Slash on Spanish guitar, and then I kind of said, "Hey, here's an idea. What if we wrote a song?" So I wrote the lyrics, the vocal melody. Stacy Quinolte in the house. Stacy Quinolte anywhere? Stacy, if you're here, raise your hand, stand up. No, not in the house. I gotta give credit to Stacy. Stacy's our producer, arranger, and co-writer. So all the music we've done with Slash over the years, Stacy has done it. I don't know if Danny's in the house. Danny, stand up. Okay. So we were trying to find the voice of Lola, right? And and we were kind of getting frustrated. And then I think Stacy asked Danny, and she had this whole background in theater and everything. So I'm going to play you, if it's cool with you, I'm going to play you the whole track. Right? But you'll be the first to hear it. Is that cool? So all of the voices you hear on this track are Danny. All of them. 15 candles. Here you go. guys were, when you were kids, were you bullied? Anybody? You ever bullied? How many of you guys? Probably everybody in the horror community, right? Or else we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. Though the words are in Spanish, this is the point of it. A moment of suffering lasts forever, lasts a lifetime. So this house is for all the people who were ever bullied and wanted to take revenge. But wait! Waiting for it to register. Waiting for it to register. guys gonna have a behind the scenes tour? First time ever, we're gonna start in Hollywood. They've been doing this for years in Orlando, Florida, but we're gonna start it in Hollywood because you asked for it. Unmasking the Horror is going to be available for the first time in Hollywood. It's gonna be KillCeañera and Sinners. Details to come. Alright, now I'm gonna kick it into overdrive because I'm already getting the person by the side of the stage giving me the, dude, you gotta wrap it up, you gotta wrap it up. We got a lot of stuff to go through, so hang on. You wanna see some Scarezones? Oh, do we even have time for a shorter cultural history lesson? Sure we do. In Mexico in the 1920s and 30s, they had this thing called carpa shows, which were tent shows, kind of like sideshows that traveled from town to town. We thought that would make an interesting theme for the Scare Zone on French Street, which is El Circo de la Muerte. To tie into our carnival theme that we got going on this year, I'm going to run you through the characters real quick. Starts with the ringmaster, the dancing bear, the chicken geek, the fish boy, the rat boy, the bearded lady, Two-Face, which is a still walker, and the twins. And here's the whole lineup. So this is El Circo de la Muerte, which is going to be our Scare Zone on French Street. Let's talk about the chainsaws, all right? You guys know already that we announced Fort Nightmares earlier, which is New York Street, right? We kind of needed something to kind of visually blend in with that, just in case a bunch of chainsaws went running through that zone. So we came up with hackers. Let me walk you through the looks. And this, 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 and then last year we tried something new over by Studio Tour by the Rotunda. It seemed well received. You guys seem to like that kind of unexpected Scare Zone, so we're going to do a new one. It's called Blood Bog. This is Pat Quinn. Pat has been with us since the beginning. Pat Quinn, he's the guy who does all our Scare Zones and park decor. Pat always finds weird stuff and then shows it to us and goes, hey, I have an idea for a Scare Zone. So in this case, this is the concept art that they put together for this zone. You see that big creature, and if we hit the next one, so Pat bought that, and then created a whole character around it that we call the Spider Pirate. This zone has a lot of ghillie scares, but we wanted to kind of take ghillies a step further, so that's the looks for all our ghillie performers. There's actually more than this. But wait, there's more. We also have what I call HHN's character encounters or experiences, and these are just the places in the park where you don't expect to see anything, but something shows up. So, for example, Murder of Crows. The crows are back in town, so we're going to see your favorite crow characters that we've had the last several years. Baby Crow will be back as well. We have some new looks for our grounded crow characters, created a whole new look for them. That's their look. And then just for fun, because there's the escalator, and people are always taking pictures of that lay-down yard we have next to the Ozzy Osbourne house. And they're like, look at all that Egyptian statues. They're doing an Egyptian theme. No, we're not. We just took the Horus statue, put a beak on it, and painted it black. Instant crowd. We also have Shriek of the Banshee, and this is to bring back a type of character that we did several years ago. We haven't done it recently, so four-legged still walker. This is kind of around the decision hub before the fast ride. That's the scope for that character. Seeing this guy walking around today, Hami Kuma will be back as well. In the Universal Plaza, which is Dia de los Muertos, this is the new look of our Stillwalker characters that are going to be in the plaza. And that's it. That's everything. Nothing more. Or am I forgetting something? Or should we say someone? Last year, we did an experiment. I went to like our vice president of retail, and I was like, I know we never let characters in the store, but we're going to make an exception for this. Last year, we tried something where we had art in different parts of the park, and you never knew where he was going to turn up. From the reception I heard from you guys, it sounded like you liked it. So we're going to bring it back with a new twist. These are the looks of all the different arts. We're kind of going through the whole section. And seriously, that's it. Really? What possibly more could I do for you? Okay. Again, credit where credit is due. Somebody on X sent me a video of Curry talking about Halloween Horror Nights, right? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. He was just talking about how he's a big fan of Horror Nights and he comes every year. And I'd just seen Obsession, and Obsession's a great film. And it was late. I mean, we're talking like late in our process. But we rallied the troops. So I'm not going to give you all the details today. But what I can tell you is, Nikki is out there somewhere. You kind of got to get into like a Where's Waldo type mentality. She's out there somewhere. And she might be looking for her next obsession. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for coming back. Thank you.